Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 11 of Thinktwice, a weekly show where we talk about things going on in the world of Magic the Gathering, gaming, and pop culture. As always, I am your host, Justin Parnell, joined by my co-host, Ali Aintrazi, and this week, we are going to be taking a deep dive into Ixalan with a very special guest, Emma Handy. This is going to be a set review episode, so you're going to want to stay for the whole thing. Get ready for Ixalan. Before we get to Ixalan, Ali, what'd you do last week? Tell me all about it.
What I do last week?
Yeah, you.
Well, I played in Hex's standard $1,000 tournament. The Hex. Let me break down real quick. Hex has a card called basically like Bonfire of the Damned Magic. You know, Bonfire of the Damned. You rip it off the top, and you can swing games that you have no business winning, and it's like a Plague Wind. Plus, it, deals damage to them, kills planeswalkers, etc., etc., etc. Well, Hex had a card like that too, but it was a static 4 damage. But the thing was, the cost of the card was reduced every time you attacked the creature. So what ended up happening would basically, you'd literally pay 0 to 2 mana to deal 4 damage to all your opponent's creatures and 4 damage to them. And that just destroys midrange decks. And you want midrange to be healthy because it's the most fair deck typically in the history of TCGs.
Sure.
Like, it's very hard to have an overpowered midrange deck. Like, I think the only exception we've had of that is Jund.
That's right.
Outside of that,
you're damn right.
Outside of that, it tends to be healthy formats. Like think back to like Thragtusk format. It was very healthy. They were very good decks, like High Master of the Fells. Like, they're all good decks, but they weren't like oppressive really. So this card was oppressing mid-range decks in general, and it was making it basically a 3-deck format. So they banned that card after the 1K. So now the format's fine. But anyways, I played the 1K. That card was legal, and I got blown out by it in games 2 and like 5 or something, or 4. And I was just like, okay. And I stopped.
Look, I'm pretty sure that there are multiple times where I cast Thragtusk on turn 4 or turn 5 in Standard, and people did not feel like it was a fair card.
I mean, I remember casting Thragtusk and then dying to mono red deck, so I think it's totally fine.
Of course you would die to mono red. You'd find a way.
Yeah, Skullcrack. They Skullcracked me.
Say they just never did that to me.
Oh, well, I guess you didn't play enough.
Oh, I played plenty. I was the one junding, okay? I junded real good. I junded with with Bonfire, junded with Thragtusk.
Dude, I played so many decks in that format. That was the format I actually made the $5-color Thragtusk deck with Thor Nothingness and top 16 GP.
Oh, GPFNM?
With it. What? GPFNM?
Yeah, GPFNM. There were 16 players.
No, it was a G. Oh, yeah.
GP Charleston in like 2012.
Yeah, something like that. I'm actually not too sure.
It's GP Charleston. I'm sure. I just like to call it GPFNM.
Don't.
Because there were barely anybody at the dude. There were more people working there than there were playing in the event.
Like, get out of here! Don't. It was 2012.
That's what I said.
November 20th. Yeah, 2012. Don't take away credit. This deck had.
I'm not taking away credit. I just actually remember the event. I told you the name of the event and how many people were there and the year of the event.
I'm just real quick. This is a sweet deck, so I'm just gonna name some hits in this deck, and keep in mind these are all cards in the same deck. We had Thragtusk,
Please.
Angel of Serenity, Grizzlebrand, Oblivion Ring, Vraska the Unseen, Garruk Primal Hunter, Tamio the Moon Sage, Door to Nothingness, Nicol Bolas Planeswalker, Rakdos' Return, Sphinx's Revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Supreme Verdict.
What about? So I mean, that's an interesting cube deck. What did you play in Standard?
This was my Standard deck.
No, that was a cube deck. I know cube deck when I hear one.
Oh no, this is definitely a Standard deck, and I think what's funny is I think I was playing a ton of Cube at that time. I think this is also the time close where we're actually designing our own Cube. So I had that in my mind when designing this deck, and actually like took my Cube strategy and made this deck, and it became a thing. After this, I think actually Travis Food took it and made a spin on it and made it Omnidor with Thragfire. He added like he had Omniscience and I think the World Fire to it.
Omnidor Thragfire.
Yep.
Oh man, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Sweet deck. I loved I liked it a lot. Anyways.
Oh man. Okay, so that's
back to reality.
Back to reality. Back to the real world where we cast a 2/2 for 2 and put in a hard day's work and maybe kill your opponent with it. Who knows?
I mean, now he just died to Teamer, tempoing you or Mono Red.
As Richard Garfield intended.
I don't think so. Richard Garfield made Ancestral Recall and Time Vault and Voltaic Key, so...
Yeah, and that's what I did this weekend, is I cast all of those cards.
That's fantastic.
That's much better than casting Door to Nothingness. I promise. I promise you.
I don't know. Door's a pretty fun card. Especially when someone's dying to it on day 2 of a GP, they're like, what are you doing?
And then they figured out.
Am I dying to this? They die.
So I got to play in my two favorite competitive formats, which are Legacy and Vintage, over the last weekend. I went to Eternal Extravaganza, if I can say it correctly, Eternal Extravaganza in Philadelphia last weekend, and played in a large Legacy event and a large Vintage event, and a bunch of side events too. In Legacy, I ended up playing Sultai Death Shadow, which was the same deck that I played in the Atlanta Open and Classic. I ultimately missed prize by losing my last round. I was only able to defeat 3 of the 4 Charles Wood decks that I played on the day, but the 4th one, which is the one in the very last round, got me. So that was poopy. Yeah, Chalice is a good card because all my threats cost 1, and it's very difficult for me to win, aka impossible for me to win otherwise.
That's rough.
It was rough. It was very rough.
I heard that Living Wish won the Legacy thing. Is that true?
Ely Cassis was playing Living Wish in his deck, yes.
Turbo Depths?
Yeah.
He was playing 4 too, I believe, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was an interesting deck. I sat beside him in round 1. We were actually we both had a feature match round 1. So I was like in between my match as I was playing my first Chalice of the Void deck on the day. I was like watching him, and he was playing
Legacy.
He was playing against Paul Lynch. Who's another person that plays a lot of Eternal Magic. Paul's actually playing a really sweet deck too. He had Kess, and actually I saw Kess a lot on the day. The Commander card. It's for 1 black, red, blue, basically where you can Snapcaster Mage every turn.
Okay, sweet. The Grixis Wizard.
Yes, the Grixis Wizard, 3/4 flyer for 4, where anytime during your turn you can cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. So.
Wow, that's
cool. It's a sweet card. It's a sweet card. It's a very cool control card. I saw it do some pretty. It never did anything like crazy, but it's pretty powerful if you're able to tap with it.
She costs 4, right?
4. 1 black, red, blue. Yeah. So usually you're going to play it and then immediately cast like a Ponder, Brainstorm, Lightning Bolt, etc. And then you can start playing, the 2 mana or 3 mana spells afterwards, like Kolaghan's Command or stuff like that. So yeah, she's sweet.
This is Legacy.
This is Legacy, yeah.
Yeah.
Those cards are playable in Legacy, not in huge numbers. I don't think you could play more than 1. But
yeah, gotcha. It's just basically like a. It's funny because before that we saw the Sultai one, Levoid.
Leovold. Leovold's still a monster. That card is extremely good. It's actually good in both Vintage and Legacy. I'll talk about it in Vintage in a second.
Sure.
I know Leovold is pretty close to a format staple. You obviously only play it in one deck, but it is critical to that deck's makeup. So
yeah, that's sweet.
yeah. So in Vintage, I was deciding between two decks. I was deciding between a Mishra's Workshop deck, which is just called Shops, and then basically a bug deck that is a Leovold deck that has 3 Leovolds in it. And I played in side events on Friday, and I went 4-0 with the Shops deck, and went 2-2 with the Leovold deck. Even though I should have gone 3-1, but either way, the Shops would have been better. I actually ended up losing in my last round to Ely, who won the Legacy event the next day.
Playing same deck?
Well, no, we were playing
No,
Vintage.
we
were playing Vintage, so he's playing Legacy the next day. But ultimately, I decided, and I thought I was going to do this going on, was playing Mishra's Workshop deck. This is actually the first time I've not played, since my very first Vintage tournament, that I did not play with Monastery Mentor, which has been, since it's been printed, essentially the best finisher in Vintage by a pretty huge margin. So this was actually the first big paper tournament that Monastery Mentor was restricted, which is a really, really, really big deal. Like, I can't express how big of a deal that is. Before, if you were playing blue, you almost always just killed people with Monastery Mentor. But now that you can only play one, that's still viable. You can still have a control deck where the one Mentor is your best win condition, but now you can play other sorts of blue decks. You can play combo blue decks. I saw people casting Torrential Gearhulk off of Mishra's Workshops. I saw a bunch of Leovolds, True Nemesis. There's a lot of other ways to kill people now. So fortunately, that card was restricted, even though I played it, had a lot of success with it. But it really opened up the format. So, but like I said, I played Shops and did end up cashing at the lowest level, essentially. And had a pretty good time with a deck that is kind of non-interactive, but it's a lot of fun when you're doing it, because it's just not fun for your opponent, which is fine. I'll just take all the fun and have it for myself.
I did hear something crazy that people were actually playing Snare Thopter.
Yeah. Yep.
In Shops.
Yep. Yeah, Snare Thopter, for those of you that don't know, because you shouldn't know, is a 3-4, or excuse me, a 3-2
3-2
for 4 colorless with flying and haste. That's it.
That's crazy.
Let me tell you, Mishra's Workshop is such a freaking powerful card that it almost does not matter what you're casting off of it, as long as you're getting your full mana amount. So,
oh man,
yeah, it's really powerful. I killed a lot of people with a lot of big dumb creatures.
That's awesome. To me, it's
this
sweet.
is the deck. This is if you played Vintage, you would like playing the big Workshop decks. Like, I played 2 Wormcoil Engines in my main deck this weekend.
That's
oh
sweet.
yeah,
it's like Tron, but
it's
stronger.
It's like Tron, but it's always good all the time.
Well, your Tron lands are always active.
Yeah, you only get to play 4 of them, but let me tell you, that is certainly the most powerful. Well, it's the second most powerful unrestricted card. Bazaar Baghdad's the most powerful unrestricted card, but Mishra's Workshop is the second most powerful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so for our Patreon subscribers, I'm actually going to do a blog post about, to go a little bit more in depth about my experience at Eternal Extravaganza. Do like a little tournament report kind of thing. I'll show all the deck lists that I played in events, and talk a little bit about that. So if you guys are interested in Legacy and Vintage particularly, you definitely want to get subscribed on our Patreon level that allows you to see our blog posts. We have, I think, about 3 up right now, so this will make 4. We're going to try to do at least 1 every week.
Yeah, mine just went up recently. It was on a sweet deck that I'll give you the title.
Hit me with the title.
Big Red in Standard.
Okay. So I imagine there's some Chandra Torch of Defiance in there.
I mean, I don't know. Are you a patron? Are you supporting the podcast?
I am definitely supporting the podcast.
All right. Well, I guess you better go read the
Okay,
post.
fair enough. Okay, so this week we have a very special thing that we haven't done before, and that is we're actually inviting a guest on the show. We have Emma Handy, who is a content creator and streamer that you guys probably know of. She is going to be joining us to discuss all things Ixalan, so we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. All right, so Ollie, for the first time ever, as we said before, we're having a special guest on our podcast. So to join us today for our first discussion into actually delving into Ixalan all the way, we are joined by notable content producer and streamer Miss MTG herself, Emma Handy.
Hi.
Hey.
That's quite the intro there. Appreciate that.
Well, I wanted to, put you up on a pedestal. You're by far the three of us that has interacted with this set the most.
Well, you know, sometimes you get a lucky break, I guess. I had a lot of fun going out to Victoria, Canada for the Loading Ready Run pre-release just last weekend.
Yeah.
How was that?
That's pretty awesome.
It was fantastic. I've gone on record a couple times saying it, but it was probably the coolest Magic thing I've ever got to do. They just treated everyone really well. The Loading Ready Run people are so nice. They're all so incredibly genuine to the point where I was on guard for a little bit thinking this can't be, someone's going to pull the rug away and I'm going to see the man behind the curtain. But no, it's their personalities. You see what you get.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah,
awesome.
It would definitely creep me out. Be like, why do you seem as nice as you do when I'm watching you on a video?
Yeah, exactly. They are their characters, so to speak.
That's good. Yeah, obviously you know Ollie in person, so you know he's a hideous beast in person, and he puts on this really nice, face for the camera. So it's nice that you don't have to deal with that.
Oh my god, yes. It really is. See, listen, he's laughing, but
Well, I mean, I am with a beauty, so it's Beauty and the Beast, right? It has to be balanced in the world.
Isn't it more like Jekyll and Hyde?
Jeez.
Oh, who's Hyde?
Well, you're both.
Oh, I'm both.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I thought you were insulting his lady friend. It's like, wow, going for the throat.
No, Jekyll and Hyde. He's
yeah.
I don't know which one he is now. I won't find out until we're done recording, and he berates me over the smallest. I'm just kidding.
You
That's
never know.
All right, Emma. So tell us about. You actually had an opportunity to play the Ixalan limited format, which looks like looks like a lot of fun, and I wasn't fully in at the beginning of the set, but I have come around quite a bit.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think if I had to relate it to a sort of mix, it has its own identity thus far. I've played a sealed tournament and 3 drafts so far, so I don't have the largest sample size. But at this point, it feels like it has a lot of the things that Lorwyn did just because of the tribal synergies. But they aren't so focal in the set that if you don't have a tribal deck, you're just going to roll over every game. Yeah. So that's really nice. You get rewarded for building decks rather than building stilts for your bombs, so to speak.
That's a good way to put it. That's pretty high praise because Lorwyn is... that's considered... I don't know if it's considered the best limited format, but it is widely considered as one of the most fun limited formats ever. And like you said, obviously in Lorwyn, you had to choose a tribe, essentially.
Yeah.
And if all of your creatures were tribal related, you didn't really have any that weren't associated with one of the 8 tribes of Lorwyn. But it seems like that you can still kind of play good cards, but you're rewarded more for having the tribal oriented cards. Is that accurate?
Yeah. A lot of what you end up doing is you end up having, 8 to 12 creatures in draft. In sealed, it's like 6 to 10. 6 to 10 creatures that fall into your tribal theme, and then maybe 2 or 3 payoff cards, so to speak. But then a lot of cards that are just good cards that happen to be whatever tribe it is. They don't necessarily have to lean on each other to stand. A lot of the cards have legs on their own.
Sure. Yeah, like I imagine, especially with some of the rares, in color rares, frequently, after going through the spoiler, and obviously, rares aren't what you see frequently in limited, but that also is a lot of the times what you're building your deck around, especially in sets like these. And they don't appear to be like tribally focused, but they work with the tribal cards, if that makes sense.
Go ahead.
Like there's a card I want to specifically point out. Bishop of Rebirth, which is the vampire 3/4 with vigilance. Whenever it attacks, you can get a creature with CMC 3 or less from your graveyard into play. Obviously, that's going to work with a lot of the vampires, which are one of the smaller tribes, but it doesn't say vampire anywhere on the card. So it's just benefiting you for making sure that you could build your deck around that card.
Yeah, from what I've been able to see, it looks like almost, how in lore when there were some goblins that helped out giants, and there were elves that worked with Kithkin and so on. It looks like rather than writing it so bluntly on the cards themselves, a lot of the crossovers you get between tribes end up being in their mechanics. There are a lot of not pirate cards that tend to end up working well with raid specifically, or reward you for attacking. So you'll end up going, maybe I can fit this into my pirate deck, even though it doesn't have pirate synergies. And so you end up with these cards that end up being good on their own, and then just because they are a good card, they end up augmenting your more tribal focused cards. And it's really, really interesting trying to shave down to a 40 card deck to be able to fit everything. A lot of your decks end up being, a lot of your sealed pools end up having very few cards that are completely unplayable. Because you go, well, if this is a pirate deck or a merfolk deck, I could play this. Otherwise, I don't love it. But,
So which one have you enjoyed the most of all the tribes? I know you haven't played a huge sample size, but
you got to see a bunch of them, I'm sure.
The coolest deck I had was the 4-color pile I got to play at the pre-release, which was just a red-green dinosaurs deck with 3 or 4 white cards and a Vraska, because I opened 2 dual lands and a bunch of fixing that was nice. But
AKA the dream is what I like to call that.
Exactly. At first I was panicking because both of the duels were in the first 2 packs that I opened, and I just not like this and all that.
Yeah.
But either the 5th or the 6th pack had Vraska, and I just yelped and dropped it like it was on fire or something. Dropped it as if it were hot, as the kids would say.
I think that's exactly how they say it.
But that's a lot of what you get. Either that's a lot of fun, but my favorite archetype is probably the blue-black pirates deck, because I just like unsummoned decks a lot.
Yeah, tempo decks basically.
Yep.
Yeah, my favorite is going to be fish.
Yes. The fish deck is cool. It has the most synergy-driven cards, but it also has the most cards that you have to have synergy for them to do literally anything. Yeah, so it's really interesting.
It seems pretty clearly, I don't want to say forcing you, but if you're not messing with +1/+1 counters, you're not, it seems like you have a lack of direction.
Mm-hmm.
No, guys, you guys are not understanding. I'm just going to play fish. I'm going to play just Fleece Waller. That's it. Not merfolk, actual fish.
I feel like I've been played.
I don't feel like that's a supported tribe.
Doesn't need to be. It's a 6/6. When it attacks, almost half their deck. What more do you need?
How many of those do you think you're going to get?
Oh, I thought it's when it comes into play. I cheated at a side draft at the pre-release. I thought it was an enter the battlefield ability.
You know what though? That's what pre-releases are for.
That'd be better.
Is not knowing how your cards work at all, and then making amazing plays exclusively based on that.
It was a nice game. My curve was that card on 7, mill half their deck, and then overflowing insight them on 8. And then they had 1 card in deck and they lost.
Beautiful. Overflowing insight reminds me of Forced Fruition, but yeah.
Yeah. In that context, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was like a one-shot Forced Fruition.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah. Yeah, so Fleet, it does look, look at that card. That's a terrifying looking fish.
It's huge.
Those guys all definitely pooped themselves right before that fish ate them. There's no question. Okay. All right. So you said you played dinosaurs. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Are they... It seems like when the dinosaur deck gets a curve, like a legitimate curve, it seems like it's just going to just like tear through everything else.
Yeah. So I think a lot of what you get this sort of risk-reward situation where if you have, one of your ramp creatures on 2 into some sort of bridge on 3 into 5 drop on turn 4, nothing's really going to be able to compete with that. There are a lot of good removal spells in this set that I think kind of mitigate it a bit. Like, you have ways to deal with dinosaurs in every color, except green at common. Well, in green you have to have your own dinosaurs, and you can do it at common. But you have stuff like you have Fire Cannon Blast, I think it's called. That's a 3-mana deal 6 with Raid. So that's a way to get dinosaurs off the table. There's Walk the Plank at uncommon. There's 3 or 4 different white removal spells that deal with dinosaurs. So there are ways to keep it in check. But for the most part, I mean, that's just kind of the threats against answers fallacy, where if they don't draw the answers and you draw the threats, they die. And if they draw the answers and you don't draw the threats, the game continues. So I think it's very good if you get a good deck and you can curve, but you also have to deal with the hands. You're opening 7s and you go, yes, 5, 5, 6, 4 lands.
Yep.
A delicacy in some countries.
Probably not Ixalan.
Correct. Oh, I was talking about me. I'm toast that game, right?
Oh, yeah. Ollie, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the best answer for dinosaurs has to be Star of Extinction, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You just nuke everything.
All the flavor. All the flavor.
It is a tragedy there is not a Stuff Eat All in this set.
Maybe. Just wait for Rivals. There's going to be some sort of BS card with that thing. I just have to imagine. They can't let that card go in standard without Saffron Olive trying to put a deck together.
Yeah.
Exclusively around that.
I think it's a nice list catch-all, though. Like, even the boards of, like, red decks, like, big red decks, like, because red, like, it has Hour Devastation, but sometimes Bristling Hydra gets too big, or you get, like, creatures that you can't really kill. And also, if the lands end up being good, like the artifacts or the enchantments that turn into lands end up being good, like, it's a catch-all for those and all planeswalkers. I think it's a decent, like, one-up in sideboards.
It sounds like you're talking more about constructed than limited.
Oh, sorry, I am.
How could you?
My bad.
Why don't we go ahead and move to constructed then? Since you want to talk about it.
I jumped the gun.
Since you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. So,
thank you. Ollie wants to do.
Obviously, this is a set that's going to have a significant impact on Standard, mainly because it's forcing a bunch of sets out that have not existed, or that have existed for way too long.
Yeah.
So, here's what we'll do. We're just going to go down the line and just talk about each of the different colors for the cards in Ixalan, and I'll just kind of give our opinion, and then maybe we can toss a few in at the end. So,
sure.
Emma, since you're our guest, we'll start with you. Best card in Ixalan that's white.
I think I'm gonna go with Inspiring Cleric on this one. It's just 3 for a 3/2, a white and 2 colorless. That is, when it comes into play, you gain 4 life. It's just a great way to kind of bridge the gap against the red decks, and 4 is kind of the line of more than enough life gain for a life gain ability that's tacked on a reasonable creature to be worth it. I kind of think about this card as you get both triggers from a Kitchen Finks at once, but you don't get the Persist trigger. So it's better against red decks, but worse against grindy ones.
That's a good way to look at it. That's a really good way to look at it, actually.
Yeah. Like that.
Okay. So this oh my gosh, this card makes me feel like we, as a Magic community, did not appreciate Lone Missionary as much as we probably should have.
We did not.
I mean, because this is essentially Lone Missionary with +1/+1 for 1 more generic mana.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But I mean, that's not a bad thing. I think that card, just in its time, it was just wrong place, wrong time. I think if we see this type of cards in certain standards, especially one where I'm pretty sure we know there's going to be a solid amount of red.
Yeah.
That I think that a gain 4 life with a reasonable body is going to be playable. So Yeah,
I'm pretty
I think I
excited
agree.
about it. The red deck only loses 1 or 2 cards with rotation, and they get a couple of cards, so there's no way it's going anywhere.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, Ollie, what's your top white card?
I'm going to go with Settle the Wreckage.
Okay.
That is the 4-mana sorcery that's... Not sorcery. Wow, that'd be awful. It's sorcery. It's a 4-mana instant that says exile all attacking creatures. Exile all attacking creatures target player controls, and then basically get a basic land out of their deck and put into play for each creature exiled this way. So basically like a Path to Exile for attacking creatures.
So it's like Path of God?
Sure.
Ooh. I had one. I can't think of it, though. Dang it. Oh, Path to X-Isle.
Wrath of Exile. Ooh. All right.
We could do
Anyways,
this all night. I don't know.
yeah. I think it's good because there are some decks like obviously that Control's gonna have a hard time dealing with. Like Bristling Hyder's one, Sky Scarvin Console Flagship is another annoying one.
Hazaret.
Hazaret, the Carnage Tyrant is one, or even like there's not as many now. There's not as many indestructible creatures like outside of Avacyn and Silver Spirit, but this is one that approach.
I don't think you need to.
pickup.
I don't think you need to worry about Avacyn or Selfless Spirit much.
Well, that's what I said. That's what I said. I said those you do not have to worry about.
Okay, my bad. I'll start listening.
Yes. Thank you. But I also like it because if there is a reanimator strategy, like the decks that try to use the Scarab God or Liliana Dust Majesty, it's also good against them. And even against Humor Energy, they're tutoring up all their basics with Attune with Aether anyways, or a lot of them. So after after the first one, the rest are basically almost free.
That deck
Not free, but you know what I'm saying.
Timur always floods against Control anyway, so
Yeah.
Are you really doing that bad of a thing against them? I don't.
I think people are gonna get blown out by this. Then eventually be like, okay, I'll attack with 1 or 2 creatures and that's it. And that's what makes it even better because people will have to play around it.
Yep.
And that means if you don't have it, you're just gaining free life because you're playing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of.
I think it's also important to note that when I've seen people talk about this card, they're like, "Oh, but that first one's really brutal because your opponent's going to get a lot more lands out of their deck and they're going to be able to deploy threats a lot more quickly." Yeah, well, that's true. This gets better the more that you have that you are able to cast in combat. They don't. At some point, if you're playing a hardcore control deck and you're casting multiple of these a game, there's going to be a point where your opponent does not have any more lands to get, and you are literally just instant speed exiling all of their creatures.
Yeah, this is basically like Path to Exile. Path to Exile, like you want to win the full 4. This is a little different because it's situational. It's only attacking creatures,
and it's 4 mana,
but it's similar. Yes, sure, but it's similar in that regard that like you don't want to play 2 Path to Exile. Usually just want to play Jam 4 because eventually that has diminishing returns on your opponent's diminishing returns on the card.
Yeah.
So what about you, Parnell? What do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to go with the first of what I'm sure multiple flip cards that we're going to talk about. And my best white card is going to be Legion's Landing. And again, this is one of the 10 double face cards. It's an enchantment, a legendary enchantment for a single white. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. That's all it does when it comes into play, so not huge, but it says when you attack with 3 or more creatures, any creatures, transform Legion's Landing. And Legion's Landing transformed to Adanto, the First Fort. Taps for a white, just like a regular Plains, it's a legendary land, and then you can tap 2 and a white to create a 1/1 vampire with lifelink, so like the one that it came into play with. I think this is an excellent tool for aggressive white decks. It gives you a nice, a turn 1 or an early play, turn 1 or 2, to get something down. Lifelink is definitely not irrelevant against other aggressive decks. And once you're able to flip it, this turns into a Kel'Joran outpost that gives lifelink creatures, which going long is extremely difficult to beat.
Oh yeah, I mean people struggling against Westvale Abbey
Exactly.
as just creatures, and you lost life for that. This costs less, adds colored mana, and you don't lose life. Like,
And they're life
I think even
linkers.
control.
It's the opposite of losing life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like anti-losing life.
That is true.
They should keyword that.
Yeah, if only there was a way.
Anti-losing lives. I think if control could control would love to have this card, but I just think like flipping it is almost impossible in that.
Yeah, if only, man. Think about if there was like a secure the wastes in this format. This would be that'd be a hell of a combo of playing this at any point in the game, and then at some point later just secure the waste or just putting any number of creatures into play, and then just attacking with them on your turn. And it's like, all right, how are you going to win now? Certainly not through the ground.
You do have that black-white card that makes tokens, which could be decent. So
yeah,
makes 3. So we'll see.
All right. Okay. Blue cards. Ali, hit me with your top blue card.
I'm gonna go with Spell Pierce. I think Spell Pierce was underrated the first time it came around. First time Spell Pierce came around, I actually just put 3 in my blue-white control deck, and I end up winning a states because of that. And it was literally just because of Spell Pierce. Like, people didn't understand how powerful it was, what it does, how much it counters. And they're like, oh, well, eventually, it gets out of reach, but it buys you so much time. I know we're in a world of like creatures get better and creature creep, but I think Spell Pierce is just going to be really, really good. More so for tempo decks, but I think it's really good.
I think with Planeswalkers getting better with the new Planeswalker rule update, we don't know if that'll be super relevant right now, but I do think people will be incentivized to look more at Planeswalkers throughout Spell Pierce's life in Standard, so that's a good choice.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, you talked about putting it immediately into a control deck. Spell Pierce is not at its best in a control deck.
Oh no, it's better in tempo or team or energy or whatever you want to call it.
Any aggressive
or
deck,
pirates.
And I feel like at some point, it's people kind of think about Spell Pierce a lot of the time. It's like, oh, do you have an aggressive deck? That means you can play Spell Pierce in it. And I actually think that now that we're having a second look at this card in Standard, I actually think this is a reason to have an aggressive deck. Not because you can fit Spell Pierce in the deck, but because you have Spell Pierce as this incredible tool that you can actually build an aggressive deck around this as long as blue is one of your primary colors. And conveniently, we have both Pirates and Merfolk, which some of the cheaper ones could fit into a Spell Pierce deck. And I think that could be pretty powerful.
Just throw in team energy. I think people can play it main deck, I think. So
I want to play it in Pummeler.
There you go, even better.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it's
like a free splash in that deck. You just add like Canals, Botanical Sanctums, and an island to go with your Attune with Aethers, Aether Hubs, and Servant. And
man,
they're playing Blossoming Defense.
Yeah,
Spell Pierce isn't that much different.
It's going to feel real good to cast Spell Pierce off of an Aether Hub before you have another blue source in play.
Yep, you're just like Attune on 1 into whatever on 2 and Spell Pierce their thing. Let me tell you, I have laid awake in bed at night dreaming of spell piercing my opponent's turn 1 Attune with Aether off of an Aether Hub.
Oh god,
no, that's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, it might. I mean, at some point that will happen, and I imagine whoever it happens to will immediately concede.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you don't lead with Aether Hub like that if you have another option.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right, Emma, what's your pick for blue?
I think Opt. It's boring, but a lot of people slept on Preordain, and I'm not going to be one of the people who sleeps on the 1-mana cantrip.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is another card, obviously, that's a reprint. Opt did see a decent amount of play when it was in Standard many, many moons ago, back when... Emma, I don't even know when did you start first playing Magic?
Right after Opt.
Okay.
like a year after
Perfect.
Opt rotated. I started in Mirrodin, the first one.
Yeah, so Opt saw a decent amount of play when it was, existed the first time, but the spells that you were kind of getting to weren't as important. Like, creatures weren't as impactful, and, it wasn't as much like Battlecruiser Magic as it is now. So I definitely think that we're going to have that Opt is going to be all over the place, for sure.
Well, what about you, Justin? What do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to pick another card that I think is going to go into an aggressive deck, and that's Chart a Course. Chart a Course is a sorcery for 1 and a blue, and it says draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you're attacked with a creature this turn. I think most of the time that if there's a Spell Pierce deck, you're going to see Chart a Course frequently right beside it, and as many numbers as you have Spell Pierce. But in the event that there is any sort of Reanimator deck,
Oh, there definitely is.
this is going to be, if not the most important card, then one of the most important cards, and certainly the card that kind of pulls that deck all together.
This. I mean, there's Blue-Black Reanimator, which has Champion of Wits. You used to have Oath of Jace. You got to upgrade with Chart a Course. Yeah. And it has another way to discard cards. I can't remember. Draw discard cards. But Chart a Course is really good there because you control it. Like early, you can make it draw a discard. And then late, you can attack with the Champion of Wits and just draw 2 cards.
Which is incredible for 2.
And it doesn't even bring in like the God Pharaoh's gift decks.
Yes, yeah. I think this card is actually better in not necessarily aggro decks, but just like combo Reanimator decks.
Well, of course,
Flash creature decks. Yeah, I do. So we'll see.
Okay, all right, Emma, what is your top black card?
That is Ruin Raider, the new Dark Confidant impression that Wizards has printed. It's 3 mana for a 3/2, and it has Raid at the beginning of your end step. If you attack with a creature this turn, reveal the top card of your deck, put it in your hand, and lose life equal to its mana cost. And I think this card is absolutely insane. It's around the internet for $2 or $3 right now, and I've come really close to just sinking $50 into buying a bunch of them. I'm a big believer in this card.
I think something... Go ahead, Ollie.
Covering this from Glint Sleeve Siphoner seems pretty insane, actually.
Oh.
Like Glint Sleeve Siphoner, attack Glint Sleeve Siphoner, Menace, Energy,
Ollie,
play this, draw a card next turn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are some people out there that are looking at this card without fully reading it and thinking that it says at the beginning of your incept, if you attack with this creature, like the actual Ruin Raider, but that's not what it does.
Yep.
Yeah, you can just attack with like your evasive creature, or if you just have a crappy thing that you don't mind dying that you want to turn into a different card. This is a good. Yeah. This card is nice. This card is nice.
I agree. Like I think there'll be a blue-black tempo deck. People are focusing too much on pirates. Just make it blue-black tempo. Play Siphoner, play Reanimator, play good spells, and just
that one seems
like
sweet.
Spell Pierce,
Think of this card in
course.
Constrictor. Yeah. That deck has a lot of the best 2-drops in the format. You get Siphoner.
Totally.
This card Cruise Heart of Kiran. This card's got legs.
Yeah, I think again focusing too much on pirates. Just go elsewhere. This card's great.
Yep, totally agree.
All right,
Ollie.
All right, Parnell.
What do you?
All right, I'll go.
You go. I want to see what you say, and then I'll pick something better.
Jeez.
Oh, okay. I think Vraska's Contempt is going to be really good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We've lost Grasp of Darkness. We don't have a Hero Fall. Is that what it's called?
Hero's Downfall. Sorry,
Hero Fall is Hex card. My bad. Hero's Downfall. So this is a kind of a... Sure, it costs 4 mana, but it exiles a card, so it deals with Hazoret. It deals with indestructible things. You also gain 2 life, which is not irrelevant. And I think what's going to happen with this card is people are going to play 1, play 2, play 3. It's like, okay, this card is just really good. Let me just play 4 of this card. I think it's going to do that. It's going to do the Hero's Downfall impersonation, where it's like you just play 1 at first, maybe 2. And eventually people settle on 3, possibly 4. But this card is really good, I think. I think it's a sweet answer. It's a catch-all, gains life, and...
Gear hulking this back is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Powerful card.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because... Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and exactly what you said. Hero's Downfall started as a 1 or a 2 of, as like, oh, this is a removal spell. I'll play it. It seems good in this. It seems fine. And then slowly and surely, Hero's Downfall became, at one point, like the most played card in the format.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what we're going to see with Vraska's Contempt. However, this has got to be, if you're playing if you're not playing an aggressive deck, if you're playing a mid-range or a control deck, this should be the first removal spell you look at.
Yeah, I think control decks control will sail at 2 or 3. I think 3's gonna be the right number. And I think like other non-blue control decks, like black-red control, will just have 4 of these.
Yeah, and like you said, and as we've talked about on this show before, people frequently sleep on the gain 1, gain 2, gain 3 life, but when they're just tacked on a spell for free, that's not a small thing.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
What's better?
Better, Parnell.
Tell us.
Duress is better.
Yeah, okay.
Proven.
Nailed it. Had
So
it the
I
whole
always, yeah,
Are we just talking about standard? Or are we talking about?
yes, everything. It's always better. Duress is always better. Duress should always be around. This card, it's Duress is one of my favorite. It's like Duress is one of my favorite cards in all of Magic.
Powerful card.
I always tell people. Well, I guess I'll ask you too. I think I've asked you this, Ali, but I'll ask Emma. What card in Magic do you think you've cast the most, like ever?
Gitaxium Probe.
That's a good one. That's up there for me too.
That's that's probably my favorite card in Magic.
Ollie, what's yours? I assume it's like
This is the problem.
Mirari's Wake?
I've played too many decks. No, it's not Mirari's Wake. I've played too many decks for. Like, I don't even know. I've played too many decks for it to actually know. I don't even know.
Twice, right?
It's not Thinktwice.
Really?
It's definitely not Thinktwice. Yeah, it might be like if Preordain wasn't banned in Modern, it would be Preordain. But I honestly don't know. Maybe Rampant Growth. Maybe I don't think so though. Like because I got the ramp train later.
Like,
I was control player for a long
maybe
time.
like Conflux. That's an Ollie card,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Is there anything in
Maybe
is there anything in 5-color control
Draco?
that's seeing play still?
Cryptic Command.
Maybe Cryptic.
All right, you're taking
maybe,
too
probably
long.
not.
Duress is my
Yeah, I'm
number
sorry,
3
go.
card. My first is Lightning Bolt. My second is Thoughtseized, and Duress is number 3.
Sure.
This is one of the first cards I ever cast in Magic when I started. I started playing in 6th edition, which was between Urza's Legacy and Urza's Destiny. So Duress, this is one of the cards that make me love black, as everybody knows, is my favorite color and the best color in Magic. So I expect this to see play in decks that play black mana. Not necessarily in the main deck. A lot of them will.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you're playing black, this is either in your main deck or your sideboard. Period.
All right. I think mine's Preordain, by the way.
We've moved on from that.
Yeah, it's
All right.
past Ollie. You got to put it behind.
All right. Parnell, you start first. Red.
Okay, I'm gonna go with. Oh, you know what? No low hanging fruit for me. I'm gonna go with Rampaging Ferocidon.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is a new dinosaur, and
good one.
the fact that it's a dinosaur does not necessarily make it what it is, but it is one. Just a note for other cards, I'm sure we'll talk about. It's a 3/3 for 2 and a red with Menace. It says players can't gain life, so that Vraska's Contempt is not going to work. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, Rampaging Ferocidon deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. I think this is going to be.
If you can tempt it,
What now?
do you gain life or no? If you cast Vraska's Contempt on this dinosaur, do you gain life or no?
You will gain life because this won't be in play anymore.
Aha! Gotcha.
Yeah, but you're not going to choose
There you
this.
go.
You're going to choose Hazoret.
You never know. Anyways, go.
Anyway,
Sorry.
so I think this is going to be I think this is like secretly one of the best aggressive cards in the set. The steps are good. It's a 3/3 for 3 with Menace. So Menace has been, I think, a historically difficult to evaluate mechanic because very rarely do we get Menace cards that are actually good. I know that sounds weird, but frequently it's like Menace is like on this like gigantic creature or something that's like really, really small. And you never really have like a mid-sized creature with solid stats that have Menace on it. I think this is one of the first ones, and I think this is going to be a card that's going to see play in both mono red aggressive decks and dinosaur decks.
Yeah, I think the what's the way to phrase this? The keywords that prevent people from interacting, I feel like Wizards tends to print pretty sparingly. Be it Menace, Menace is kind of them toning down the unblockable from Landwalk to Fear to Menace to Intimidate to Menace. And that's why you don't see a whole lot of Menace or a whole lot of Hexproof anymore. Or Shroud literally doesn't exist. It's because Wizards just wants people to be able to interact. And they want people to know how exciting it is or make it look like a really big deal whenever something has one of these non-interactive mechanics.
I think that's an excellent way to look at it. And I think you're right. Anytime we see something that's just straight up unblockable, if it has solid stats, that card frequently sees play, but it's never like a mechanic-based card. It's like, this card is impossible to interact with, so it's very good. Like, Invisible Stalker is an excellent example.
God, I hate that card.
All right, so
Ollie,
okay,
go ahead.
yeah, I think this card.
Yeah, what you got?
I'm gonna say this card's like no. I'm gonna say it's the dinosaur. People thought the Councils was good against red. Well, now this is also good too. But I'll let Emma go. Emma.
For red.
So
well,
now you're doing the thing where you want to say what she says.
Yeah, well, here's the thing is that, low-hanging fruit, Lightning Strike. That's it. That's the one. Lightning Strike is not close to the best red card in the format, and I'll fight y'all.
Yeah.
That's not true. Please don't fight me.
I don't even think you have to. It might be... I mean, I think this instantly becomes one of the best cards in the format.
Yep. Yeah,
it does. Definitely does.
Everything around it. It's so good.
Yeah, I agree. I think card's really good. I think one that actually people are undervaluing is Vance's Blasting Cannons. This is the Outpost Siege that we flip a card, you can play it, but if you flip a land, you can't cast the land. And people are like, oh, it's not as good as Outpost Siege, blah 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 blah. But they're forgetting that this just casts the freaking spell for you. Like you can just choose to cast a spell, which is fantastic. And then when you cast 3 spells in a turn, it flips and becomes a land that lightning bolts people. That lightning strikes people for 3 mana.
Absurd.
I think people are sleeping on it. People are thinking it's like worse than Outpost Siege. I think it's equivalent.
I think it might be better than Outpost
I think it might
Siege.
be better too. I'm gonna be honest. I think it might just be better.
I think it.
I mean, casting the spell is huge.
I just think it suffers from the same problem that stuff like Collected Defiance does, where it's worse than Chandra Torch of Defiance. So people are and even if it is better, it is not obviously better. So people aren't putting in a lot of testing to see if it's better. They go, well, I can just play the Planeswalker, and that's probably going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's good, like a big red type of deck. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Vance's Blasting Cannons, at some point in its life in Standard, will have its time to shine. It might not be right now for the exact reason that Enna said, but don't forget that this card exists.
Yeah, if you thought Ramen Up Ruins was tough, all right, get ready for freaking Vance's Cannons up your...
Dude, this is a very appropriately named card. The Blasting Cannons. Yeah, it's gonna feel like some Blasting Cannons when it gets going.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it transforms into, but it's gonna be rough. All right.
Okay, all right. So moving on to green.
Spitfire Bastion. Sorry.
That's the flip side.
It's just a bunch of rappers, right? Yeah. They just spit fire.
Yeah. Not raptors, rappers.
Yeah.
Rappers.
Just to be clear. All right, Ali. What's your top green card?
Commune with the Dinosaurs.
I did not believe when I saw someone talk about this card that the name was real. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's like Commune with Nature, but Commune with Nature didn't get lands. This thing gets lands, which is very big. Like if you thought like if you're playing a dinosaur deck, why don't you play this? It's like a Tune with Aether. It's like
Ancient Stirrings if it didn't grab Eldrazi.
Yes, but
except it can grab this
5.
format's Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this card's great. I think it's a great way for the Dinosaur deck to play a Tune with a quote unquote better Tune with Aether for them, because it finds them lands, it finds them a threat. It's 1 mana, which is great early, great late. You never hate to see it. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, I think when you have a deck that turns Commune with Dinosaurs into Impulse +1, this card is probably going to be even more than good.
Yeah,
like it's going to be really aggravating when you see your if your opponent top decks this, that's probably going to get aggravating.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially after you dress them. You dress them, they don't have it. They draw Commune Dinosaurs. You're like, oh.
Sick rips. 2K17.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Justin, your turn.
All right, I guess it's my turn for low-hanging fruit. I'm going to go with what I think might be the best card in the set. Maybe.
That's aggressive.
Oh, it is aggressive.
That's aggressive.
It's Ripjaw Raptor. It's very aggressive.
That's aggressive.
Ripjaw Raptor is a 4/5. So we got Chillwind Yeti for 4, 2 green. And it has Enrage. Whenever Ripjaw Raptor is dealt damage, draw a card. I think you're going to see this card all over the place. Literally all over the place. If you're playing green, you're either playing this card or you're playing Bristling Hydra. And if you're not playing Energy, you're not playing Bristling Hydra. So you're going to play this card.
What if you're playing Blue-Green Ramp?
You probably will still play this card.
Yeah. Ollie, it says draw a and card on it, and it costs more than 3. This is your kind of card.
Ollie, look how insane this card is as a blocker.
I know. No, I know. I think this card's great because it's basically replacing the Courser Crucifix Trials Tracker type deal.
Except
This
it
is
can kill
yeah.
the crap out of your opponent.
It can.
Have you looked at the art of this card? Does that look like it wants to sit back and just Courser of Crucifix it up? No.
That's not baby.
Well, this is the baby's daddy.
This
All
is
right.
getting weird.
All right. Emma, what you
Mine's in a
got?
similar spot as Parnell's. I think Drover of the Mighty is the best one for standard. That's the 2-mana 1/1 dork for dinosaurs, but it gets +2/+2 as long as you have a dinosaur. I think there will be enough dinosaurs that are incidentally playable, a la Ripjaw Raptor and its friends, that make this a 2-mana 3/3 in the mid to late game. But it looks like there's a lot of big mana stuff going on in this set. So if big mana and mid-range tend to dominate the format, stuff like Sylvan Caryatid or Drover of the Mighty get a lot better. And the fact that Drover is able to scale into the mid and late game is a really, really big deal.
Oh,
Yeah, I like
totally
that.
agree. And I think this one kind of goes along the Ripjaw Raptor logic. If you're playing energy, you're probably going to want Servant of the Conduit. If you're not, you probably want Drover of the Mighty.
Yep, exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
All right. My turn for fruit for multicolored.
Yep, multicolored.
I'm going to go with, just like me, the alpha dog. Regisaur Alpha, I think is a good good
So
card.
does that make Parnell a 3/3
man.
trampling token?
Yeah, you're really making a logical leap there, Ali. Please explain yourself on
I
this
know.
one.
I mean, it's a 5-mana 4/4 that gives other dinosaurs haste, but that's not enough. It makes a 3/3 green creature that all has trample and haste because it's in play. I think the biggest part, I think by itself, if it was a 5-mana 4/4 that made a 3/3 trampling token, is good enough. The fact that it gives everything else, all the dinosaurs haste, is huge. That's a lot. That pushes it over. That makes it like a standard staple.
Ali,
and even non-dinosaur decks.
you're gonna die to this card so much.
Oh, yeah. It's like Bloodbraid Elf, but without the Cascade.
Hold on.
Or Cascades into a 3/3.
Breaks, kid. Talk about a legend. All right.
This card, I think this card is really good.
Yes.
I think
I think it's good.
I was just going to say, it looks like Wreckage looking to be settled to me, but, card's fine.
Could be. Oh man, yeah. I'm not going to call. I am not officially as the consummate the Jund Mage on the podcast. I'm not agreeing with Ali that this is like Bloodbraid Elf. In fact, I don't think they could even live in the same space.
Not in older formats.
You
like standard,
said
I think it's.
You can't take it back.
Huh? Oh, get out of here! I think it's comparable in standard.
No,
Obviously, it's not nearly the same.
We need to move on, Emma.
All right, go.
Whatley,
multicolored
warrior poet. I think I said that wrong. I forgot to check the pronunciation guide. I'm usually good about it, but
actually, that's a trick. Everyone's always said this name wrong, regardless of what you say.
Wait,
it's like Umazawa's Jite or Jeet or Jot
how people
or Jit.
will say like Rancor. It's like, no, this isn't. We aren't fighting Jedis. We're giving something trample. We're talking about undying hatred. I don't.
Yeah, it's like people. This is a word in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So why do you think Whatley is good?
Oh, just look at her. That's
it. Point.
That's it. Good. But so I played a lot of Garruk Primal Hunter back in the day, who you would just play for 5 and then start churning out 3/3s, and then there was a point where you had to do something else with Garruk almost. But this, you can. The fact that Whatley is able to actually interact, like her -X is. I think incredibly underrated. Just make a dinosaur and then the next turn divide 2 or 3 damage as you want, I think is fine on a 5-drop. She's very good at protecting herself, and I think that's kind of... People talk about wanting planeswalkers that can protect themselves, but she's so bent on protecting herself that she doesn't even have an ultimate, and that's a pretty big game to me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean...
Unlike Garruk Primal Hunter, her tokens have trample, and she's easier to cast.
Oh yeah, much easier to cast.
I mean, you say she doesn't have an ultimate, but I think her -X ability is going to end the game when you do it.
Probably. I mean,
You're going to enrage, or you're going to make things unblockable when Alpha
or
Strike?
both.
Sure. But sure.
Yeah, you're just like, I will shoot my Ripjaw Raptor and 3 of your creatures, and I will draw a card.
And kill you and attack you for lethal.
Yeah,
sure.
and, they cannot block. Good luck, idiot.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to go with another Planeswalker, and this is going to come as a shock to everyone. But I'm going to choose Vraska Relic Seeker.
The Unseen?
This is one of my favorite. This is one of my top 3 favorite cards in the set for sure. Everybody knows I love an old good black-green card. This is I think Vraska is a legitimately good one. This is not like a 4-of card. You're not going to see this as a 4-of in many decks, but this is like a solid 1 or a 2-of in a deck that can cast it. Any deck that can cast it.
Do you think she's Flamecaller level?
Chandra Flamecaller? I think she's better than Chandra Flamecaller.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
that's
aggressive.
ambitious.
Yeah? Well, okay. So Vraska is a Planeswalker that starts with 6 loyalty for 6.
True.
Ollie, of all people, you should know how important that is.
Oh, yeah, 666.
Wait.
Number of the beast.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was like, of course, yes.
Her +2, you create a 2/2 black pirate token with Menace, which is going to be important later, but we all talked about how good semi-unblockable creatures are, especially in black-green, where you're probably going to have heaps of removal. -3, destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment, and then you get a treasure token. And then the -10 is target player's life total becomes 1. So it does not matter what else you've done, how much life you've gained, the board control, you're now at 1, and most likely I have 2 menace creatures ready to kill you as soon as I do that.
Yeah, I mean, going up to 8 is a big game. Like, I played Karn. Karn going up to 10 is pretty good, but she costs 6, and going straight up to 8?
That's a lot.
It's pretty big.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a ton.
It is a lot. You're right.
I
It's
have
a
a
lot.
nitpicky problem with this, and it's the pettiest thing in the world. I hate...
Yeah, she's going to die to Vraska's Contempt a lot.
Well, that's embarrassing, true. But I hate when Planeswalkers have ultimates that aren't good to activate more than once.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nitpicky.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Look, it's just not cool. There's not a
Just
good
play
reason.
Commander.
I just want something sweet.
Just play some Commander. There you go. Fixed.
Ooh.
This is plenty sweet for me. This is the type of card that makes me want to play Standard slightly more. Because I just
The
want
one
to cast
thing that
Vraska.
annoys me...
You've entered a tournament
What?
with Mistveil Plains in your deck, and this is sweet enough?
Yeah, this is yeah. Vraska, look. People are hating on Vraska. I don't know why, but they're hating on her. I think she's going to prove everybody wrong. I think this is going to be a card that you are going to see the entire time she's in Standard. I know. Putting it out there.
Like,
All right.
I want to love her. Like, trust me, I won games with her before she was even legal. Last week, I was doing it on the internet, but I'm not a believer yet. I'd need a better ultimate to believe it.
Okay.
I wish she killed Planeswalkers too, but moving on.
Okay. All right. So, best colorless card. Emma, what's your top pick for that? And this could be anything colorless.
Anything colorless. Probably Sentinel Totem. It's basically just a new take on Relica Progenitus. It's 1 mana. When it comes into play, scry 1. And you can tap, sack it, exile all cards from all graveyards. So, it doesn't quite have the same upside as Relic does. It doesn't instantly replace itself. But Wizards has kind of been moving towards the virtual card advantage model for a while now, rather than just raw cards. So I think this is kind of in line with that design philosophy, and a lot of those cards have been better than we thought they would be at the time. So I think the scry is relevant, and not having to hold up mana for this card every turn like you do with Relic is a big, big game. And I guess that's crossing over to Modern a bit, but that's just to say it's good enough in Modern, and there are Reanimator decks we've talked about just here that people are brewing up. So I think this card is going to shine.
Even Scared God, so.
Yeah, I actually totally agree. I think this is one of those cards that people look at and they're like, oh, that's pretty good. And they don't realize how much they're actually going to need to have access to this card. Like, I think this is going to be a critical component to Standard to make sure that things are functioning as they should be.
Yep.
All right.
What about you, Ollie?
I'm going to go with Field of Ruin. I think people are not even looking at this really. Field of Ruin is the land, adds a colorless mana. You pay 2 and sacrifice it, destroy a non-basic land, and then you and your opponent both get a basic land and put into play tapped. I think this is just a great way to answer non-basics that you need to deal with, especially when we're going to a set where there's a lot of legendary lands, where a lot of cards that flip to lands that become very powerful.
Yep.
I think this is a great way to deal with them.
It is, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I think this card is nice.
Yeah. This is also one of my favorite arts of the entire set.
Oh, it is.
Nice.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Darkenism. Is that Darken?
It,
No, it's not.
it-
It's not Darken.
It's another one word started with a D.
I was so close. Dimitar.
Yeah.
This is what I want land destruction to be. It takes out the problematic spell lands, but it's not used to like color screw people and prevent them from playing Magic. And I think that's just wholesome, is what it is.
Yeah, wholesome. That's a good way to put it.
I think, it'll be good modern too. I think it'll be played like we were talking about earlier. We're all talking about actually where it's just good in Valakut, where you can Valakut wants the type effect, but can't play Ghost Quarter or Tectonic Edge because they lose lands. But with Field Ruin, they can destroy it on basic land and still get a land for themselves. So it's good there.
Yeah. Okay. My pick for best colorless card. This is the card in Ixalan that I'm 100% sure is going to see the most play in all of Magic total, and that's Unclaimed Territory. And I don't even think it's remotely close.
You think
Unclaimed Territory is a land when it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, tap to add one.
So it's Cavern.
Yeah, it's Cavern of Souls without the uncounterable ability.
I love this card. I think it's. Go ahead.
I think Standard, Modern, Legacy, Vintage this card's going to see play in every single one of those formats.
For sure. It's weird. It's in this spot where a lot of people go, oh, it's worse than Cavern. It's like, well, it's a heck of a lot better than Cavern number 5. I don't... There are a lot of decks. Like, even Bant Eldrazi is probably going to play this card.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Slivers likes it. Humans likes it. All those weird tribes like it. Modern. Like, humans must play...
When you say weird tribe, what you actually mean is any tribe. Any tribal deck.
That's heavy on
in the history of Magic that is creature heavy is going to have this card in as many copies as they're allowed. Period.
All right. Fair enough.
Okay. All right. Lightning round. So we're just going to go through and I'm going to ask a few questions and we're going to kind of try to give a quick answer to what each of those are. And we'll just go down the line, Emma, Ali, and me in that order. All right. Let's start with, what card do people not know exists?
Fell Flagship. It's the Pirate Anthem vehicle. It's just super great. People don't value the discarding properly, and I think it's going to show up in a great way.
All right. I'm going to go with Legion Conquistador. This is the 3-mana creature. When it comes to play, you may tutor your deck for any number of them, put them in your hand. I think it's like Squadron Hawk. People aren't really looking at it like that because it doesn't fly. But but also Squadron Hawk was not in a format where Oketra's Monument was legal. I think it plays very well with Oketra's Monument.
That's a good point.
Exciting.
That's a good point. Okay, I'm going to go with one that is... I think people are going to disagree because people are going to say, of course they know this card exists. But I'm going to say Jace Cunning Castaway.
Yes.
This is a Planeswalker that is getting literally zero love right now.
It's insane.
It blows my mind that people, I feel like this happens every single time we have a Planeswalker that costs 3 mana. They're just like, not very good, not very good, not very good. The fact that it costs 3 mana is a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
And this card, with it ultimating and making 2 copies of itself on 5, if you're on the play and you have even a single way to stop something from interacting with this, be it Spell Pierce for Vraska's Contempt or Unsummon to remove an attacker, and you're able to ultimate this and you make 2 more Jaces that you can immediately plus or minus in that same turn, I think this card is good. I think this card's going to be awesome in Standard, and people they're just sleeping on it.
I agree.
Okay. Next up, what card will people cast exactly one time?
Wanted Scoundrels, the thing that makes treasure when it dies. It's 2 for a 4/3. Someone's going to cast it. It's going to get lightning striked, and then their opponent's going to play a 5-drop, and they're going to go, you know what? That is about enough wanted scoundrels for me. I am never going to want these scoundrels again.
Fair enough.
So then it's going to be unwanted scoundrels.
Boom.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Sword Point Diplomacy. This is a 3-mana sorcery, 1 black 2. Reveal the top 3 cards of your library. Your opponent can pay 3 life to put each one in the graveyard. They can pay a total of 9 life to put in the graveyard, or all of them in the graveyard. People think this is good for whatever reason. People always think things like this is good, but we had this last season too with Torment of Hailfire. I mean, you're going to draw lands, maybe, and then everything else they're going to go to the graveyard. Even if you reveal like Boros Charm and Modern, Boros Charm, Lightning Bolt, and whatever else in Modern, if you're casting this instead of burning me, fine. You can have all those, not try to cast them.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think this card's poop. I think this card's poop.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, as someone who casts black cards a lot, I do not think that's a good one. However, you guys both said black cards, and I think all black cards are great, so I will not say a black card. They're all great except for that one, except for those 2.
All right.
Everything else.
Well, okay.
My card, and people are going to lose their minds over this. People are going to cast one time and then be like, it wasn't as good as I thought. Growing Rights of Itlamok. This is the legendary enchantment that turns into essentially Gaia's Cradle. I think people think that this is just Gaia's Cradle, but it's not. You actually have to work for it, and I think that work is a lot harder than people are giving it credit for, especially in older formats where you don't have access to Gaia's Cradle, but you want to have access to this card. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think people are going to try it immediately and then realize that it's an enchantment that costs 3.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how tall the order for the Gaia's Cradle is, and then you still have to have something to do with the Gaia's Cradle at the end.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, what is the card that people will love to hate? People will learn to hate. Not, yeah. What are people to learn to hate?
Learn to hate Ripjaw Raptor. It is just. I just think that the play patterns that card will create are just going to be miserable a lot. And I am positive there's going to be someone who gets their Ripjaw Raptor double blocked. They're just going to say trigger and draw 2 cards, and then they're going to get thought seized in a judge call, and it's going to be miserable. And I'm already tired of it.
Well, fortunately, it's only going to be around for 2 more years.
Why do you guys say it like that?
All right, Ali, moving on.
Jeez.
I think people don't realize this either, but I think Deathgorge Scavenger is really good. Deathgorge Scavenger is a 2 colorless, 1 green, so 3 total for a 3/2. It's a dinosaur. When it comes into play, you may exile a card when it comes into play or attacks, you may exile a card in the graveyard. If you exile a creature, it gets +1/+1 on a turn. Keep in mind, it's not a counter, it's just +1/+1. But this is good enough just to see play in dinosaur decks. It stops the Scarab God. It stops potential Gearhulks from being really good by eating Glimmer Geniuses or whatever, or Restless Contempt. I think it's very subtle, but I think this is actually going to be a staple in the format for dinosaur decks, or even neither decks, actually. It's just a good card.
Okay. I also have one that's a green card, and also a card that's going to be a staple in dinosaur decks. And this is Savage Stomp.
That's my favorite dance.
Yes.
It's the art is great, the name is great, and the card is probably too great. The fact that you can cast Prey Upon but put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, this card is going to be so annoying when people go turn 4 or on turn 5 cast Ripjaw Raptor and then cast Savage Stomp immediately for a single green, put a +1/+1 counter on it, kill your opponent's creature and draw a card. That's going to be obnoxious, and it's going to happen.
No, you're right.
All the time.
It's turn 4 with Drover the Mighty,
Yeah,
so you're right.
This is the most common. These are the most commonly used modes on Dromoka's command. So
yes,
let's keep that in mind for a second.
And
draws a card.
Not only that,
Yeah.
we're in a set that wants you to deal damage to your own creatures, so this is even better than it normally would be as Dromoka's command.
Yup.
Yeah, this card's sweet. All right, multicolored.
Vona, Butcher of Megan.
Sorry,
Megan.
Sorry, I apologize. This is favorite card to untap with.
Yeah, favorite card to untap with. Vona, Butcher of Magan, whatever it is. It's 5 for a 4/4 with Vigilance and Lifelink. Tap, pay 7 life, destroy target non-land permanent. This card's just good, clean fun.
It is. That's exactly what I was going to say. See, this card is it's just great.
Yeah,
This card's just great.
You have to attack or you can't keep using it, and it's pretty steep to keep using it. I think it's a cool card.
Well, thankfully, Grass Darkness is out of the format, so it might live.
Yeah. It also, it doesn't die to Fatal Push. There are a lot of things that don't kill this. Lightning Strike. It's just nice. It's nice.
Sweet.
Unfortunately, it dies to like Chandra and Glorybringer, so that's part of why I want to untap with them so bad. But.
All right, well, you untap with that. I'm going to untap with Sunbird's Invocation.
Oh my god, you picked a 6-drop enchantment, Ollie?
Yep.
Whoa!
6-drop, do nothing.
I cannot believe it. This has never happened before.
Sunbird's Invocation is 6 mana, 5 in a red. It's enchantment. It's basically a stronger cascade for all your spells. It says whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. You may cast a revealed card this way with converted mana cost X or less without paying its mana cost. And put the rest in the bottom in random order. And keep in mind it's X or less, so you can cast the same cost, which means this is a combo card, quote-unquote combo card with Approach the Second Sun. If you cast Approach the Second Sun and you find an approach, you just win the game because you'll cast the approach from your deck first, then the one from your hand is resolves and sees that you cast one before it, then you win the game. So
I want there to be an awkward silence after that.
I think it's sweet, man. Or even casting like Vraska's Contempt or Glimmer of Genius or Torrential Gear. Like, can you imagine casting Torrential Gearhulk? It's all about
I
you.
can't imagine it, no. I have a very poor imagination.
All right.
I also am unable to imagine it with this card because the thing about that is,
all right,
you have to
Parnell, stop putting on my card.
You have to have the
Your
card
turn.
in play.
Your turn.
Okay, I'm gonna say one that I was gonna say I'm surprised you didn't say, but I forgot there was a six drop enchantment.
All right.
I'm gonna say Ranging Raptors. I think this card's awesome. It's a 2/3 for 2 and a green, and it's simple. It says whenever Ranging Raptors dealt damage, you can search your library for a basic land and put it in play tap. So every time it's dealt damage, you get Rampart Growth.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just gonna every time I cast this, I'm just gonna be like, please don't kill this, please don't kill this, please don't kill this. And then when they don't,
there's also another.
What are you gonna say?
Another sweet. This is also another sweet Savage Stomp. card.
Yes, it is. So totally. And Ryle. Which is a sweet card we haven't talked about yet. But this is also just sweet, and like this is gonna be an awesome commander card. Being able to play this with like Pestilence or Pyrochemia, and be able to just get all of your stuff out. I don't know. This is is also arguably the best dinosaur with Walking Ballista, and there's a lot of good ones, but you can play Walking Ballista, deal this 2, and then you keep making your Walking Ballista bigger because you're getting lands out of your deck.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's probably a little too cute, but
this.
I'm excited to do it.
I wish I could play this with Nin the Pain Artist in Commander.
You can just find a way.
Well, I mean, I guess you can play Maelstrom Wanderer, but what's the? Oh, we can Riku it.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh, that with Pyrochemia.
There you go.
Yeah,
I do like the art on this card too. When you first look at this, look at the art, you're like you think the main art is for the creature in the middle, but it's not. It's the raptors that are killing it. So yeah, Rainbow One.
It's the raptors from the dinosaurs from the very beginning of Jurassic Park 2 that eat the child.
Too busy thinking if we could, not if we should.
All right, cards. Yes, exactly. Cards most likely to impact Modern.
Well,
all right.
Here's the boring stuff. Opt.
Yep, that's a good one.
I guess Spell Pierce doesn't count or can't be answered, so we won't. We'll say Spell Pierce, but cards that are now Modern legal, opt.
I hope
I agree with that.
Nothing more than to never have to cast Serum Visions again. I hope I don't have to.
I have bad news. I don't think that's...
I know. Yeah. I just hope it. Just let me hope it.
I think this is great for control decks, especially with fetch lands. They're not trying to they want to get one card, they're digging for like land or whatever, and then they want to crash the fetches. Searing Visions makes you play awkward with fetch lands in a control deck, and I think this also plays better with Snapcaster Mage in a control deck. So I think this is great for control decks in Modern.
Guildcaster Mage.
There you go.
All right, Ollie, what about you? Modern card.
I'm gonna go with Field of Ruin. I think it's the third. It's another like Ghost Core Tectonic Edge. It's different, and like I mentioned before, it seems fantastic in Scape Shift type style of decks or ramp decks or whatever. So
yeah. All right, I'm gonna go with Tocatli Honor Guard, which is just a 1/3 for 2, 1 and a white with Torque Orb on it. So, are we to the point where we can call this a hate bear, even though it's not a bear, but it's still
totally a hate bear? Look, if Thalia is a hate bear, then this is a hate bear.
That's true. Yeah, this is a hate bear.
true.
Yeah, but creatures, it's just like Hushwing Griff, but this costs 2 and Hushwing Griff costs 3. So
this is a lot better. I not to sound listen to my mixtape fammy or whatever, but like I wrote about this card in an article a couple weeks ago and just listed why it is so relevant that this costs 1 less mana, and it is staggering how many things it impacts. That Hushwing Griff is like a turn late to the party.
Yeah,
they basically never get prized amalgams back ever with this card.
Yeah, and important to note, this is a human, as opposed to a bird. Or whatever Hushwing Griff is. I think it's a bird.
I think it's a
hippogriff.
It's a griffin.
It's a hippogriff.
Oh my gosh, that's even worse.
Wow. Point is, neither a human nor a soldier, so this is not gonna...
Also, keep in mind this also combos. Torpor usually combos, and you can play like silly creatures that have like Dreadnought and just play things. In Standard, you can do Old Ghost Dryads.
I expect to see this card, the soldier keyword, matter than the human one, because I don't exactly want Honor Guard to be playing with my Champion of the Parish and Reflector Mage and Thalia's Lieutenant.
That's fair. That's fair.
But there are some soldier, like, tribal bonuses that could be huge with it.
Yep. That's a good call. Okay. Are any other cards that you guys just want to talk about that don't fit into these categories?
Probably Deeproot Champion. It's like the new Quirion Dryad-esque thing. It's a green and a colorless for a 1/1, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a +1 counter on Deeproot Champion. This type of card tends to be very good in like a Protect the Queen strategy in Magic, and that's what I tend to like doing. I played a lot of like Infect, Hexproof, like those types of decks. And I think Deeproot Champion really lends itself to, your Blossoming Defense, Unsummon, Opt type of strategies.
Spell Pierce. Yeah.
God, y'all are getting me excited over here. All right. But that's what I don't know where it'll go, and it'll be in its own home. But hopefully there's a home or a deck with like Deeproot Champion and Enigma Drake or something that ends up being sweet.
Yeah, I think it's sweet. I think it's almost just like a better card.
Yeah, this is probably the best query on Dryad. Well, I think Mana Gorger Hydra is probably the best query on Dryad, but this is a really good one. And this costs 2 mana, so it's probably more tenable than actual Mana Gorger Hydra.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's a good card by itself. It's good in a combo desk if you want it. It's just a good card. Good card.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go with Search for Azcanta. This is the 2-mana blue legendary enchantment. Basically, at the beginning of your upkeep, you can look at the top card of your library. You put in your graveyard or keep on top. So basically, like a different Scry one. And then it triggers, I believe, on your, I want to say end step. Let me double check.
It triggers during your upkeep after the ability resolves.
Okay, sorry. Yes, triggers. Yes, after the ability resolves, it transforms into Azcanta, the Sunken Ruin, which is a legendary land that taps for a blue. Or you can pay 3 and tap it, 2 and a blue and tap it, and you impulse for a non-creature and a non-land card, which I think is fantastic. I think it's great in like a reanimator strategy. I think it's a solid one of in like control decks. It's just powerful. I think it's great. I think in reanimator decks, like being able to get it says you can't get creatures, but you can bypass that by getting like Leon Death Majesty.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
even like so I think it's a great card.
Yeah, there's always ways.
Yes. Yep. All right, Parnell.
Okay, last one I want to talk about is Boneyard Parlay. This is a mythic rare, which will mean nothing for standard. You'll never see this card cast outside of the first round of F&M in standard.
Ollie always makes it to round 3.
All right.
Yes.
It's a sorcery for 5 black. You exile up to 5 target creatures from graveyards. This is for any graveyards. And then an opponent factor fiction. So separate those into 2 piles. You put one of the piles onto the battlefield and the rest back into the graveyard. This card is completely awesome in Commander. I know a lot of you are listening, hoping I'm going to talk about Commander cards. This one's going to be a blast. If you do this at any point in the mid game or especially the late game, you're literally just picking the 5 best creatures that have been played in anyone's deck the entire game, and then you're going to get 2 to 3 of those.
Yeah.
This
or one just insane one.
Or one insane. Yeah. If you
it's gonna win the game.
You get to instantly win the game or get 2 or 3 creatures. Those are your options.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly it. And that's assuming that you're not in cahoots with somebody.
And I want to say real quick, I think this is possible. I can't see playing standard just because Blue Black played Ever After, but they played 2 of those. And as a singleton, this is a fine card to tutor up with your demon. Like
Razaketh?
Yeah.
Yes, because they use Razaketh to get Ever After. There you go, Razaketh.
I wish I did.
Razaketh. Yeah, Razaketh used to get Ever After in the Blue Black Reanimator deck. The deck was tier 2. It wasn't obviously tier 1, like tier 2, maybe tier 2.5. But this is actually a replacement for that you can get. So
awesome. Okay, guys, I think that finishes up for Ixalan.
Yeah. There's a lot.
If you guys, if you guys feel like we have missed something, there's a card that you guys want us to talk about that we just didn't even mention at all, you can let us know at jparnell1 on Twitter, at Ali Aintrazi on Twitter, and Emma, where can everybody find you?
I'm at EM_TEEGEE. So MTG on Twitter. I also have the same handle on Twitch, and you can find me during the week on StarCityGames.com.
Awesome. Okay, well, Emma, thank you very much for being on. I think we will definitely have you back at some point in the future.
Great. This has been a blast. Y'all are both great, and known y'all for a reasonable amount of time, so it's felt, supernatural. A lot of times I'll come on one of these things and be like, all right, let's try to figure things out. But no, y'all are both great. This has been a blast. I appreciate y'all.
Well, thanks. You're great.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
Too.
And again,
is there anything else you want to say, Emma?
I think that about covers it for me.
All right.
Catch me at the Spit Bars Bastion or whatever, or the Spitfire Bastion. But
there you go.
That's about it from me.
All right, guys. In that case, we are going to jump out real quick, and we'll be back in just a minute to wrap up. Okay, so that was a lot of Ixalan.
That wasn't a full set review. We covered a lot of cards. It was almost a full set review. Like, we covered all the cards that basically mattered.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Oh, totally. I am, however, not Ixalan out yet. So tomorrow, today, the day that most of you are going to be listening to this podcast, I'm going to be pre-releasing real hard.
Oh, man.
Now, I'm not like Emma. I'm just a simple man. I'm a commoner. So I got to pre-release at a normal time. I don't get to do it a week early.
So what you're telling me is you never control the Monarch token.
No, I'm not the Monarch. I am not the Monarch. I keep trying to get that, and I just can't get it.
Yep, you're a peasant.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll be able to.
Maybe.
to make it to big
get
time.
That Monarch. I've tried, man. I've tried taking naps. I've tried all kinds of things. It just messes me up too much. Like, if I take a nap, then go play, and up to 4 or 5 in the morning, it just destroys me during the next week, and I just can't do that anymore.
I have perfected this over the last 10 years.
Oh man, tell me.
Yeah, you just okay. So I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna go to work until about 6. And I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get a little meal. Get my belly full. Then I'm gonna take a nap.
Like that part.
Then I'm gonna get up, and then I'm gonna pre-release till like 5 in the morning. Now I'm gonna be sharp. These young whippersnappers, they're not napping. Okay, they haven't figured out the nap. This is key. The nap is key.
I believe.
And then when you get up, you have to eat a little bit, just a little bit more. You need some granola bars, some peanut butter crackers, just something to get your brain functioning again, because you've just been asleep from napping. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to play against all these young people that have all this natural energy, but their energy is going to run thin around round 2, round 3. Okay, and that's why I swoop in and prey on the mistakes of people not knowing their cards.
Oh yeah, that's the tactic. The old man
That's right,
tactic.
the old man tactic. At the very end, ultimately, I'll make
see.
some critical mistake from not reading my own cards, and ultimately end up with exactly 1 loss at a critical time.
Perfect. Yep. That sounds exceptional.
3-1. I'm really excited about
That's exactly what I don't want to do. So I will not be doing that.
But I am going to do it. I'm going to do it all weekend.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Tomorrow, I'm actually going to visit our friend's store. I'm going up to Fredericksburg, Virginia, to the Sorcery to visit our friend Matt Scott. He actually opened a new location for his store, which I don't know if you know.
Did not know that.
He just opened it. I think it opened last week. So I'm going to go visit him and play in his new store and play the midnight pre-release there. So I'm going to nap earlier. I'm actually going to try to leave work a little bit early tomorrow so I can come home and nap and then get up and eat and then drive. So I'm going to change it up a little bit, but the nap is still critical. Again, critical component to the pre-release concept. You're not going to pre-release at all? Just not even a little pre?
No, actually, the thing is, like, you're talking over here. I'm like snooze fest, like crickets. And I'm cheering pre-release. I'm like, okay. Well, thing is, I'm gonna be working. I'm gonna be at. You've heard this in the past. I'm doing festivals again, doing fairs. I will be at a festival locally called Festival in the Park. It's at Freedom Park. It's basically like arts and crafts shows. We're selling food there. It's all weekend. I'll be doing that. While I don't necessarily like festival work, this is going to be some extra income. And it's going to be nice for me. And I'm trying to save some extra money so that I can, one, go on vacation with no kids. Because I haven't been on vacation without kids since Aiden's been alive. So 4 years.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
So I want to do that. Yeah, I want to do that. And then 2, I want to slowly start my way into vintage by acquiring some cards, or eventually. It's gonna take me a minute.
Excellent choice.
I know you'd like.
I do
that.
like that.
So I'll be doing that this weekend. And then another thing I'm looking forward to. I know it's not out yet. Who knows when it's going to be out? Because Wizards. I don't think Wizard knows exactly what's going on with MTG Arena and what's happening. But they did announce that the MTG Arena beta eventually is going to be coming out. I think they may have said date. I'm not sure, but I know it's only going to be like blocked. It's only going to have Ixalan limited and constructed. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I hope I get into the beta. I'm hoping I'm able to play. I'm actually pretty excited to stream MTG Arena because I just want to stream standard anyways, so it'll be sweet to do that.
Honestly, like I might maybe I don't want anybody to hold me to this, but I know most people know me from playing Commander, and some people know from Cube, and a handful from Legacy and Vintage, but Limited is like that's actually like my favorite thing in the world of Magic. So maybe if I can get into the beta as well, I can do a little drafto stream. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah,
I'd watch it.
Would you? That's sweet. Yeah. That's sweet of you.
I'm just excited because now, like, if you've watched the previews for like Planeswalkers Make Noise.
Oh yeah. Oh, it looks great.
People get hurt.
After people talked about it at HasCon, I'm pumped. I'm in for this.
Oh, me too. Like I'd love to play a game, Magic game that's like Magic that I don't have to dump tons of money into like paper, and I can stream and it's visually appealing. It makes cool noise. It's not that weird.
Oh, you mean the noises that
Magic Online noises
that they put in at the very beginning of the game and it's never changed, and they did it in 2001.
Yeah, or even in combat, like boom. It's like, what is this? Like, what am I playing? I don't know. It seems outdated. Whatever. My personal opinion, I have money invested in Magic Online, but honestly, I just hope it goes. I know everyone's on the same page, but
I'm on the same page, but I don't have any money invested. I just hope it goes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, Ollie. I think that's it for the week, buddy. Do you have anything else before we do all this, the normal wrap up stuff?
No, I think I'm
Sweet. Good. Okay. Well, where can people find you?
You can find me on twitter.com/Ali Aintrazi or gatheringmagic.com. My articles go up on Friday. I also will be doing a set review next week of the entire Ixalan set. You should check that out. I am mostly right, not always right, but I feel like I definitely hit the nail on the head for a lot of the cards. So make sure to check that out. And you can find my streams on twitch.com/Ali Aintrazi. Right now I'm currently just mostly streaming Hex, but I'm looking forward to streaming MTG Streamer whenever it comes out. So if you want to go and give me a follow, then do that.
Sweet.
But all right, what about you, Parnell?
All right, you guys can find me on the Twitters, jparnell1 on Twitter, of course. I also am the host of the Commander Versus series on StarCityGames.com and YouTube. We're in between seasons now, but we had an episode come out, a little in-between season episode come out a couple days ago where we played with the Magic Origins Flipwalkers again with the new Legend rule, where you can have more than one of the same, Planeswalker type out at the same time. So that was a lot of fun. If you want to see some gameplay of that, you should definitely check that out. We will be starting Season 9 for Commander Versus in just a couple of weeks, and we are going to be leading off with some Ixalan Legends, and you guys should be able to figure out what I'm playing. I promise I will not disappoint. Now, I might disappoint my gameplay, but I will not disappoint my choice of cards. That I can promise. If you want to follow Emma on Twitter, you can follow her at MTGEM_TEEGEE on Twitter. Same on Twitch. You can also find her articles on StarCityGames.com. If you want to find the show, you can find us on SoundCloud. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on iTunes. Feel free to leave us a comment on any of those places. And as usual, if you guys are able to share this show on any of those platforms, that is honestly one of the best things you can do for us right now, because we're still trying to get our name out here, and we would love to have as many people, as many earballs as we can on it. Specifically, if you're on iTunes, I would love for you guys to give us some feedback, give us a rating and a little write-up if you can. The more of those we get, the more we are visible on that channel. The more of all those things that happen, the better we can make the show. If you want to contact the show, you can contact us at ThinkTwiceMTG on Twitter. And if you want to be in a little more personal setting, ThinkTwiceMTG@gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email. Ali, we also have a Patreon set up.
Yes, it is fully set up. We do have 2 rewards going on right now. We have a $1 reward. The $1 reward is you will gain access to the show a full day, like 24 hours ahead of everybody else. So you'll be able to access the show when it comes as soon as we put it up, and then it goes public the day after, or 24 hours afterwards. So by showing us your love and your support, you'll get early access to the show. And then if you want to be extra generous and choose donate $5, then you will get access to our personal write-ups and tiny write-ups, tiny articles, whatever that Justin and I will share on Patreon at least once a week. And these things we will only share on Patreon and nowhere else. And only our $5 patrons will have access to them. And they're pretty sweet things. Like again, this week I've shared a big red deck with Ixalan coming out. I think it's a sweet deck. I think it's a great look into the archetype again. So, and Justin writes up he's doing a legacy and eternal one, right?
Between this episode and the next episode, I'll have a blog post up about my experience at Eternal Extravaganza and some Eternal format Vintage and Legacy deck lists, which you can only get at our $5 Patreon tier. We also want to give a shout out to our most recent patron that supported the show, William J. William, thank you very, very much for your support. It means an astronomical amount to us that you're able to do that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, more than you know. Seriously, I look at that every day, who's supporting and who's doing what, and I sincerely appreciate it. So thanks again.
And as usual, we want to give a special thanks to our director and producer John Che, our graphic designer Amber West, and of course Emma Handy for helping us with today's show. Ali,
yep.
I love you, buddy. I wish you were pre-releasing, but I'll do it for you.
I appreciate it. And I'll also want to say thank you to Emma Handy again for being on the show. And make sure to catch up next time we'll cover both the stories for Magic.
Yeah, we aren't leaving you lore people out. We promise. We'll come back. We'll work back to get you.
Yes. Promise, yes. We skipped it this time because we had a sweet guest section, but we'll be back next week. Alright, Justin. I love you, man. Enjoy your pre-release. I'll enjoy making some funnel cakes and turkey legs and fried Oreos and all that stuff.
Alright. Sounds good. Eat one of those fried Oreos for me.
No promises.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Fair enough. Alright. We love you guys too. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week.